Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Alhamdulillah wa jazallahu anna Muhammadan ma huwa ahlu sallallahu alayhi wa
صلى
sallam.
الله وسلم.
So for this class, this week we will be going over Surah Al-Infitar. Let me just make sure you guys can see the screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me just make sure that you guys can. Okay. So they recorded you guys and me and everything all in one. Okay. So starting from the beginning, let me make this thing go away.
Hmm.
1 second, guys. There's always one thing. Oh, all right, it is what it is. As long as you guys can read it and see it, then it's good. So let's see. So similar to the previous surah, Surah Al-Takwir, this one describes things that are in the afterlife. Well, not really the afterlife, sorry. That precede Judgment Day, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like last week we went over the skies, the sun, the moon, and different things. So it's very similar to this one now. So
Yeah.
infitar, uh, it comes from the last letter of the first ayah here. إذا السماء انفطرت. So the name is derived from infatarat. So it's infitar. Um, so now when it comes to translating it, um, if you guys remember, إذا just means when, like when such and such thing will happen. Sama'u means sky, and then infatarat means for something to be split asunder, basically cracked in half, kind of like an egg, or if you ever like cut wood in half with an axe, just something that's been split open. So it's
Break part.
yeah, ripped apart. That's another way of putting it. إذا السماء فطرت. So it's when the sky is, or you can say will be, ripped apart, split asunder. Ayah number
Broken.
2. So now it continues. Like إذا, it always means the same thing in these contexts, when or is. Kawakib means stars. The singular is kawkabun. So kawakib means stars, like it's the plural. And then intatharat means, you could say scattered. So just like when something it explodes. If you see like a bomb exploding, it just goes crazy, everything's scattered everywhere. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
So like the sky is ripped apart like an explosion, and then all the stars are scattered because of the explosion. Um, right. So وَإِذَا الْكَوَاكِبُ انْتَثَرَتْ, and when the stars are scattered. And what's actually really cool, if you guys are fans of astronomy, not astrology, astronomy, which is the study of, space and moon and everything. You guys hear of the black hole, but there's also things called dying stars. And so a black hole is basically when a star, you could say, for example, the moon, sorry, not the moon, the sun. We call it a sun, right? But it's in terms of like the cosmological world, they call it a sun, a star, right? And so whenever a star dies, it explodes. And what's really interesting is that when it explodes, it starts a black hole. It's really cool. If you guys ever want to look into that kind of stuff. And so it's like basically like different bombs and grenades going off. And I believe they say that the biggest type of star slash sun that is out there is called the blue sun. I believe that's what it's called, or something along those lines. So ours is like a yellow or like a white when you look at it. But there's much bigger ones that are larger in size and even harder in scale. And they're blue. It's really cool. And you do see that if you guys ever get a lighter and you turn it on, the very part that's closest to the switch part, the fire is blue, and then it goes to like a yellow, and then or maybe an orange and then a yellow. But they say that blue heat is actually hotter than orange or white. Kind of sidetracked there, but it's really interesting stuff. So now the next ayah number 3 now. وَإِذَا الْبِحَارُ فُجِّرَتْ. So bihar just means sea, seas like SEA, or ocean, stuff like that. And fujirat means for something to be you can say gushed forth. Uh yeah, you can say gushed forth. And
Yeah.
and if you guys ever want to Google like a gusher, I could probably been gushing. Probably I can show you on my screen. There's we don't really have them in Canada, but I think sometimes they pop up in other parts of the world. I'll show you if I can pop up the images here. Mm, Or sometimes they also call it springs. Stop going away.
She's erupted.
Yeah, I'm trying to show you something on my screen. Yeah, kind of like this. Or a geyser. You guys can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, kind of like this. You see how it's like that? You see how all around it is just land? You guys can see the screen, right?
Mm.
All around it is just
Yeah.
land, and then the water is kind of just bursting forth. Those different names. One's a geyser, Geyser. Another one is a spring or a gusher.
Mm.
Um, so you, basically the way this works, and I'm going to connect it back to the ayah now, which kind of makes it easier to understand. Um, is that this thing, it's surrounded all by land, but then there's a lot of water pressure, right? And so the pressure builds up, and that's kind of what causes it to shoot out of the ground like that. And then it'll settle down, it'll go back down, and then like, it continues. Um, that's why it's called a gusher sometimes. And so there's a lot of water pressure. And this usually only happens with stuff like this. When it's kind of like a hollow, there's a hollowness to it, like this, like an open piece of world. And obviously the pressure builds up and then it explodes, kind of like a spring, right? Um, and so what's really interesting now is that this obviously only happens with small concaves like that. So when Allah says that the springs, I'm sorry, the seeds themselves are gonna gush forth like that, it makes you guys like it makes it easy to visualize that it's gonna be a serious thing. So imagine like Lake Ontario, right? Or any type of lake or sea, and it explodes with, and it looks like this. It's like that's serious, right? It's easy to visualize now. So Allah is saying that um He's connecting it. So it's first with the sky, then the stars, and now seas themselves are going to be gushing forth like this. This is an easy way to visualize it. All right, now the next ayah number 4. وَإِذَا الْقُبُورُ بُعْثِرَتْ. So qubur also means qabr. You know the qabristan? Just means graves.
Yes, gives.
Um, and then bu'thirat means to be overturned. We could say they're excavated, right? Um, and obviously it means that it's something serious, right? Like something's going wrong with the world. Why people are coming out of their graves, right? Where their graves are being opened up and stuff like that. So it says that whatever is in the depths of the earth will now come onto the surface, and the dead will be removed from their graves. I guess if you wanted to pronounce it like that. Um, internet connection. Can you guys hear me? It's saying my internet's a little off.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
could hear you.
Again? Okay,
yes.
okay. It showed me on my screen that there's something wrong with my internet. If it ever plugs out, just try joining again and I'll reconnect my internet and stuff, inshallah.
No problem. We can listen you.
Okay. Jazakallah. And you guys can see me too, right? I can't really see my stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me know if anything goes wrong, because
Mhm.
inshallah. So now ayah number 5. علمت نفس ما قدمت وأخرت. So alimat is like just to know something. If you guys remember from last class, nafs means soul, and then
So,
qaddamat means to bring something forward, and akharat means to leave something behind. So you can understand this in various ways. So obviously it's going to be Judgment Day, and you're going to know your good deeds that you brought forth, and also the sins that you also brought forth. And akharat, you could also understand the sense of things that you left behind, like good deeds. Maybe some good deeds that you never did. Maybe reading enough Quran or anything, right? Um, or even just, anything really. So you can understand anyway. Just any actions, good and evil, that we bring forth and let and leave behind. So just saying that we will come to know about it. So continuing now, number 6. Pardon me. Ya ayyuhal insanu ma gharraka bi rabbikal kareem. So the translation of this is that Ya ayyuhal insan means, "O you people," or "O mankind, ma gharraka," what has, you could say, diverted you. So gharraka, gharra, removing the kaf. Gharra means to divert or entice someone away, or I like the word divert. I think that makes sense. Then ka just means you. And then bi rabbik means your Lord, and then kareem means like your honorable or noble Lord. Um, so the full translation from the beginning is, "O mankind, what has diverted you from your noble Lord?" We could say gracious, same. Um, so it's an actual question. Some may say it's also a rhetorical question, but Allah is just asking, like, what is it that has taken us away from Him, right? Like, why is it that many times, this is something I was actually thinking about just today. Uh, Many times in our lives, I'm gonna go on a slight tangent if you guys don't mind. Um, many a times in our lives, we go through things and we see people like our friends, family, whomever, um, exceeding and propelling and progressing in life, but we feel as though nothing is really happening. Uh, and this level of, I'm not gonna call it jealousy, but but the yearning to progress, it makes us feel very bitter, and it's an okay emotion. Like, we're human beings, right? And then this bitterness many times leads to us feeling uh bad towards God. I'm gonna continue the word bitter. We feel bitter towards God. Like, maybe you're super sick, or like just going really through really hard times. You're like, "Oh, why is this happening to me?" Um, so many times stuff like that, it diverts us, right? We end up thinking bad about Allah when we should always think good of Him, as one hadith mentions that Allah thinks of you. I'm going to paraphrase it, that Allah thinks of you the same way you think of Him. So if you think good of Him, then He'll think good of you. And obviously, if you think that He's going to take care of you, then He will, right? Um, so many times life stuff like that happens and it takes us away. Whereas many times people were ignorant. Like, many times we don't know how to pray. Like, maybe a non-Muslim or a new Muslim, we don't know how to worship Allah. So life, it's the dunya itself, just takes us away from Allah. It's distracting us, diverting us. All right. Continuing now. الذي خلقك فسواك فعدلك. So he says, الذي just means he who. خلقك means created you. فسواك means, you could say, um, you could say, shaped you, or molded you, or even fashioned you, um, or designed, different words, right? Then fa'adalak means proportioned. Sorry. So you could say that Allah shaped us perfectly in our physical appearance, and He proportioned us in our disposition. So He created our human anatomy, and then He proportioned it. Give us 5 fingers, 5 toes, 2 legs to walk on, in opposed to 4, right? 2 eyes, in opposed to, like, a bumblebee, for example, that has, I think, like 100 eyes or something. He he made us as we are. And then now the next ayah, number 8, now it continues. في أي سورة ما شاء ركبك. So the transition of this is, fi means in. So he says في أي سورة, in whichever image or shape. Ma sha'a means that he willed. And then rakkabak, you could tarkib, you could say pattern. So that he patterned you. So basically it's that he patterned you or uh like molded. It's kind of like the ayah previously, that he molded you in whichever image he willed, right? So I'll try to see if I can do this. So it's so in whichever image he willed that he molded you or patterned you, right? Or you can say position really, whatever verb you want to use. I would say molded, I guess. Uh, Moulded is what my book says here. And then it continues. It says, Kalla bal tukadhibuna biddin. So kalla, I think we went over it. It just means in Urdu means hargiznahi, I believe.
Mhm.
My
Never.
pronunciation may be a bit off, but something like that. It just means never.
Never.
Bal means rather. Tukadhibuna means that you deny or you reject biddin, the judgment. Deen here doesn't mean religion. Deen here means afterlife, judgment day. It doesn't mean religion here. Although deen sometimes, obviously, it's one of those words that have multiple meanings, right? Um, so it says never, rather you reject the afterlife, judgment day. And then next ayah continues. وَإِنَّ عَلَيْكُمْ لَحَافِظِينَ. وَإِنَّ means and verily, عَلَيْكُمْ, you can say upon you, لَحَافِظِينَ are guardians. Or you could say yet there are guardians appointed over you, right? And these guardians are obviously angels, right? They're doing um whatever they're supposed to. You have the angel on your right that's guarding your good deeds. You have the angel on your left that's guarding your bad deeds. You also have you also use like a guardian angel, someone that protects you from certain things, right? Um and it continues, Kiraman katibin. So kiram means just noble, same. And then katibin means um writers, or you say scribes. Scribes, I think, is a better word to use. You say
Mhm.
noble scribes. So the angels are noble scribes. Scribes meaning they're authors, not authors, sorry, they're just writers, right? It says يَعْلَمُونَ مَا تَفْعَلُونَ. Ayat number 12. يَعْلَمُونَ means they know. Ma means what or that which. And تَفْعَلُونَ means what you do. So they know what you are doing. Like they're watching you, they're listening, right? And every time you do something, they're recording it, right? The next ayat now is Innal abarara lafi na'im. So he says abrar, uh you say righteous.
Righteous.
So he says verily the righteous lafi na'im. And na'im is a synonym, just another way of saying paradise, Jannah, right?
Bless.
Blessed, yeah, right. Um yeah, so it says wherein they will be enjoying all types of bounties and comforts forever. Right. So now those are obviously the good people. So now Allah describes the bad ones. And He says, وَإِنَّ الْفُجَّارَ لَفِي جَحِيمٍ.
Jahim.
So Jahim is another way of saying Jahannam, just a synonym. You say hell, hellfire. Um,
Hellfire.
and then Fujjar means you can say sinners or criminals. Um, you could say criminals, and obviously it doesn't mean like uh we have criminals here on earth, but criminals on earth go to earthly jail. And obviously people have a lot of sins. or maybe Allah just, decided that punishing them is better suited. May Allah protect us and all of that stuff. Right. Sorry. So criminals also in that sense though, it means basically just doing something against God, right? And so I'm gonna go on a slight tangent. Some people, Christians or atheists, right? They might come to you and they might ask you as a Muslim, they might say, how is it possible? Or they might say, if Allah is so forgiving and so loving and so merciful, how is it that Allah could send people to hellfire forever and ever and they'll never come out, right?
Immanuel one.
Right. Let's say someone just was a thief or something, and then, they end up going to hell forever. It doesn't make sense. Because here on Earth, you go to jail maybe 5, 10 years, and then you come out. You do your time. So now, the answer to that is simple. So the answer to it is that it is not the crime that has been committed that really that causes people to go to hell. Um, or sorry, to do that length of time in hell, or rather, it's the one on who the crime was done upon. So to make it make sense now, um, it's like this. For example, some thug or some bad person, right, can go and kill someone. Let's say they killed, I don't know, someone named Tom. Okay, so Albert killed Tom, and now he does 25 years in jail, and then eventually comes out. Right. So Tom was just an ordinary person. Went to work, had his wife, had his kids, just living life. And Albert just got mad at him and he killed him. So now Albert is doing 25 years. And that's just Tom, right? So now you guys know the Queen of England, or I mean she passed away, so now the King of England. So let's say someone was to go and kill her or kill him. Someone of like super high status. Like, wow, like you killed the Queen. What do you think would happen to him? Do you think he's just gonna do 25 years? Nope. They'll probably end up putting him to death, or maybe they'll make him do like 500 years or something, right? Like they're gonna try to give him a worse off punishment. So now, obviously, what's really the difference between Tom and Queen Elizabeth? They're both human beings, but it's simply the fact that who she was is what caused the punishment to be extended further. Because they're both human beings. So at the end of the day, killing or robbery, they're all the same thing. But just when you do it to a certain person, it makes the crime 10 times worse. So when someone asks you now to go back, when someone asks you, how is it that the Fujjar can be in Jahim if Allah is so merciful? You tell them it's because they did a crime against the most noble person, right? Same way you had the Queen. Allah is that person who's like the most noble of all noble people. So when you do a crime against him, it's just that severe. You guys understand, right? Like it makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense to you? And Brother Muhammad?
Yeah.
Cool. So continuing now, number 15. Yaslawnaha yawmaddin. So yaslawna means to be thrown into, um, or you could say just like whipped in, not whipped, thrown into or cast into. Yawmaddin, same on the Day of Judgment. And then the ha, yaslawnaha refers to the hellfire. Going back, it refers to Jahim. So Allah is saying that they're going to be thrown into it, right? Um, and however that happens, obviously Allah knows best. But maybe with chains, or maybe someone grabs them,
They
like an angel
will
grabs them, pulls them in. G?
they will burn.
Yeah, yeah. They're gonna burn in hell,
Yeah.
and there's a
In
lot of
the
different punishments in hell too.
in
There's gonna be
hellfire.
like,
Yeah. Mm.
there's gonna be boiling water that people will drink, pus and really nasty stuff. Um, So now it continues. وَمَا هُمْ عَنْهَا بِغَائِبِينَ. So ghaib means absent. Ghaibin just means absentees, plural, right? Like like Yahya, are you here? He's like, oh, I'm present. Or someone, if Yahya is not here, you say, oh, he's absent. So there's multiple people that are absentees. So وَمَا هُمْ عَنْهَا, it says that and they will not be وَمَا هُمْ, and they will not be عَنْهَا, from it, absent. And they will not be absent from it. Meaning those people who are destined for the hell, they will not be able to fly away or flee or run away or separate themselves or get away in any uh you know matter, shape, or form. They will enter it. So now the ayah continues. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ بِيَوْمِ الدِّينِ. And adraka means to inform you. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ, so, and what will inform you? Ma, about يوم الدين. So, and what will inform you about what the Day of Judgment is? 1 second. So then it continues. It says ثُمَّ مَا أَدْرَاكَ بِيَوْمِ الدِّينِ. So he asks, I need the light. Sorry. Um, so then he asks one time, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا يَوْمُ الدِّينِ. Asks one time and then repeats it to really sink it into our heads. ثُمَّ مَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا يَوْمُ الدِّينِ. Then again, once again, what will inform you about what the Day of Judgment is? And then ayat number 19 now, which is the end of the surah, is يَوْمَ لَا تَمْلِكُ نَفْسٌ لِلنَّفْسٍ شَيْئًا. So he says, Yawm, a day, when no soul will avail, or you could say will help another soul in any way. لا تملك نفس لنفس شيئا. So nafsul, so nafsul, let me try to roll over it 1 second. So the first nafs, so it's yawm la tamliku, that a soul on the day will not help, or you could say will not avail another soul in any way, right? Hope you guys get it. And then
Yeah.
it continues, well, amr, and the command, or the judge, jury, and execution, and the executioner, all three, yawma even, on that day, lillah, is for Allah. Meaning nobody's gonna be able to help another person on that day.
No
Everything
one
is going to
can
be
help.
on. Yeah,
No one can
everything's
help.
going to be up to Allah.
Only
And obviously,
Allah's
we
command.
know from a hadith that. Pardon? Hmm. We know from hadith that, for example, someone who has memorized the whole Quran, they'll be able to say, "Oh, like, Allah, can you save my family from the hellfire," and stuff like that. Um, so that's not contradicting the ayah here, because it's just saying that amr, like the command, it's basically just Allah giving them the command to do that thing, right? So there's no issue. But basically, it's just saying that nobody's gonna have any free will the same way we have here on earth. The final command before everything, Allah is gonna be like, okay, you can do this. You can give that person, um, testimony. You can testify on his behalf, but only because Allah is allowing you to, right? So that's the end of Surah Al-Infitar. We'll go to the next one now. You guys have any questions about that one, or is it everything's cool?
Good.
No, no questions.
No question. Okay. So the next surah now is Surah Al-Mutaffifin. So this one it kind of doesn't it splits off from the other two. We're talking about stars and the moon and like astrological type of stuff. So this one
Mhm.
now talks about more humanly matters. So it deals with matters related to belief, and it speaks
Mhm.
about the Islamic call in the face of of its better opponents. Right? So now the first ayah. So while you're gonna hear it a couple different times in this surah. So wailun just means woe. Not woe like wow, that's amazing. It's a woe, W-O-E, and it in English we don't really say it nowadays, really, to be honest. Um, but a good example of what we say nowadays, like in replace of that, would be what do you say like uh, not really thinking of one. There is an example that we use sometimes, but it's not coming to mind. Um, mm, yeah, it's not really coming to mind, but just WOE just means like it's a bad omen in English. It's like
Mm.
it's like the bad omen. It just means that something bad is going to happen to that person, right? We like I said, we don't really use it nowadays, but it's a common thing amongst like even in classical English back in the day people would used to say it, but like I said, not really anymore. But anywho, so wailun means woe, and then lil mutaffifin. So mutaffif means people who give in short measure. Um, Giving in short measure basically it's like or even both giving and taking in short measure. So an example of taking, you guys know what bulk barn is? You know that store that sells like peanuts and everything? Like you grab a
Mm.
bag
Yeah,
and you fill it and you measure it. Yeah. So
yeah.
stuff like that. Um, so mutaffif is basically people who would go to for example a bulk barn and they'd grab let's say 5 pounds of peanuts, which let's say cost $10. Um, but they'll try to hide it, and so they'll put like 2.5 pounds in one bag and then hide the other bag in order to kind of not pay for the extra two and a half. So they're
Mm.
taking more than what they're supposed to. And so the opposite of that is similar. Let's say you go to a store and you're buying, maybe a new cloth to make a new jubba. And let's say you need 5 feet worth of the cloth. Or so you're the person selling the cloth. So let's say um Abdullah comes in and he says, "Oh Muhammad or Yahya, or I want to buy 5 meters of cloth for $10." So then you say, "Okay, no problem." But what you do now is that instead of 5 feet or 5 meters worth, you give him 4.5 or like 4 3/4. You give him just a smidgen little less, so that way you are not saving money, but you end up taking more money from him because he took less than his value. You get what I'm saying? Um, you're shortening the amount that is rightly due upon it. So Allah is saying that woe to those people, like may destruction be upon those people. It's like cursed are those people, right? So now, the next ayah, or even the next ayah after that, the second and third ayah are all kind of similar to what I just said. So الَّذِينَ إِذَا اكْتَالُوا عَلَى النَّاسِ يَسْتَوْفُونَ. So those who, when they take measure from others, demand that it be given in full. And it continues, وَإِذَا كَالُوهُمْ أَوْ وَزَنُوهُمْ يُخْسِرُونَ. He says, but, oh sorry, let me break it down for you guys. So الَّذِينَ means those who, إِذَا اكْتَالُوا, when they take measure, or when they're, measuring something out, centimeters, or the weight of it, عَلَى النَّاسِ, when they take something from people, يَسْتَوْفُونَ, that they seek everything. Like, oh no, I need it, right? Um, and it says, وَإِذَا كَالُوهُمْ, and when they seek to, وَإِذَا كَالُوهُمْ, and when they measure for them, أَوْ وَزَنُوهُمْ, or they weigh for them, يُخْسِرُونَ, that they give less. So remember the two descriptions I gave to you? When you take more than what you're supposed to have, or you try to give less than what you were supposed to. So Allah is describing both of those people. He says when you're measuring it, like cloth, a t-shirt, 5 meters, 10 meters, example, and wazan means the scale. So instead of a 5 pound bag of peanuts, you're giving 2.5 or 4.5, right? You're shortening it. So it says, although there's nothing wrong in taking your full right from others, the purpose of mentioning this ayah here is to not speak ill of this act, rather to emphasize the evil of giving less than what is due. Right, so um it's a part of etiquette, I guess you could say. You know that let's say, if someone ever does do something to you, or let's say you go to a store and you know, um you wanted to buy a white t-shirt, but then you open up the bag and ends up being a black one. There's nothing wrong with going back and be like, hey, can I just return it? Uh, this wasn't the correct item. Nothing wrong with that, right? Or if someone sells you something that wasn't what they said it was, there's nothing wrong with going back and like, hey, that wasn't, pardon me, there's nothing wrong with going back and saying, hey, that wasn't the correct item. Give me back my proper item. There's nothing wrong with it, right? So Allah is not saying, destruction to people who go back and seek their right. There's nothing wrong with that. But he's just saying that, like people that do that and then cause a mess or be disrespectful, right? Like when you go up to the person, you're like, hey, you sold me the wrong item. Don't start saying the F word and the B word and going crazy. Hey, yeah, blah, blah, and raising your voice and wanting to beat the person up. That's not good etiquette, right? It's not good adam. So instead of lashing out and going crazy, you know, you say, oh brother, like, this is the wrong item. Um, can you please give me the item I wanted, right? And you try to be polite with it. So Allah's not cursing the people who do that. It's just those who do it in bad ways. Now the next ayah number 4 continues. It says, "Ala yadhunnu ulaika annahum mab'uthun." So Allah means behold, like it's trying to catch your attention. All right, it's like, hey, like when you're calling someone, behold, yadhunnu ulaika means do those people. Dhanna means to assume or think. Ulaika, do those people. Um, Actually, sorry, I made a mistake. So it's not Allah, it's not meaning behold. It's the first alif, the is a question, and then la means do not. So do those people not think annahum mab'uthun, that they are to be resurrected or raised once again? My apologies. Slight mistake there. So just to go over just to correct myself one more time. So it is Allah yadhunnu, do do they not think, ulaika meaning they, like those people, annahum, that they, mab'uthun, in brackets, will be resurrected. Do they not think that they will be resurrected? So Allah is telling you that, like, when you go about doing evil things, um you're gonna be questioned about it. Right? Now next ayah number 5, liyawmin azim, for that mighty day, that obviously Judgment Day, that you are going to be resurrected on that mighty day. So now Allah describes the day. He says, "Yawma yaqumun nasu li rabbil alamin." That yaqumun nas, that the people will stand li rabbil alamin. Say in front of, or yeah, you could say will stand
Yeah.
in front of uh
Allah.
the yeah Allah, yeah. And then alamin is the Lord of the worlds. That the people, or a day, yom, people will stand in front of the Lord of the world. That was number 7 now. So it says, Hella, hargiz nahi, never. Inna kitab al-fujjari lafi sijjin. So he says, never, rather, kitab, the record, um, Yeah, the record or the book, or the transcript, like the sins of the people, of fujar, once again meaning criminals or sinners, lafi sijjin, will be in sijjin. So now you're going to be asking, like, so what is a sijjin then? Like, what does that mean, right? Um, Allah asks, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا سِجِّينٌ. So now Allah is asking you, like, what is it that is going to inform you? Or what do you know about this thing called the Sijjeen? So Allah says, now describing, he's answering his own question. He says, Kitabum marqum, that it is a register written. So raqam in Arabic just means you can say it's a pen, or like, you know, um, so marqum is that thing which is written, and then kitabun is obviously a book. So you could say that it is a book written, or you could say it is a register written, however you want to put it. So Sijjin is the name of a register in which the name of every inmate of hell is recorded. As for the angels who are appointed to record the deeds of each person, it is their duty that when these evil people pass away and their deeds come to an end, they record all these deeds in separate files and then enter them into their register. Right? A mark is made on each file or on the name of each uh, person who's going to
Kiraman Katibin.
enter hell. Yeah. And basically identifying him. Um, yeah. So I'm pretty sure you guys do that. Sometimes you go to a store and like they have catalogs of stuff and they organize it. Right? It's just categorizing everything, organizing it. So ayat number 10 now. وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ. So while, remember I told you earlier it's gonna come around sometime, means woe or destruction. يَوْمَئِذٍ means on that day, لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ, to the liars or the rejectors. Now you're asking yourself, well, what is it that they reject? الَّذِينَ يُكَذِّبُونَ بِيَوْمِ الدِّينِ. Those الَّذِينَ يُكَذِّبُونَ who deny or reject بِيَوْمِ الدِّينِ, the day of judgment. And continues, وَمَا يُكَذِّبُ بِهِ إِلَّا كُلُّ مُعْتَدٍ أَثِيمٍ. So, to understand this one out, Allah saying, so first, Allah says, just to kind of go back a bit, destruction or woe be to those who deny or reject, those who reject the day of judgment. And Allah says now, وَمَا يُكَذِّبُ بِهِ, that nobody rejects it. Nobody rejects the judgment day, إِلَّا, except, kullu, every single one of, mu'tadin, um, you could say a transgressor or a sinner, and then a theme is also a sinner. So a bit synonyms. So once again, وَمَا يُكَذِّبُ بِهِ, and nobody rejects it, except every single sinner and transgressor and evil person. Right? So this is you could say it's metaphorical and also literal, because obviously, people don't believe in Allah and they're transgressing and they're sinning. Uh, they're rejecting it because they don't know, right? But also, I think even possibly when we as Muslims do very, very evil deeds, uh, it's almost as if we are rejecting it momentarily in that moment. In the back of our heads, we know that we believe in Allah and we believe in everything that we're supposed to. But it's just like we continue to do evil deeds. It's as though we're rejecting it because like, it's okay, I want to do this evil deed, it's better. Um, right? Because if you truly had, not to say yaqeen, but like, if our iman was like the Sahabah, right, then we wouldn't be doing, similar stuff, right? You guys kind of get what I'm saying. So now continuing, next ayat number 13. We'll stop at maybe about 17 or so. About 10 minutes left. إذا تتلى عليه آياتنا قال أساطير الأولين. So إذا once again means when. Tutla means when something is read upon. عليه. So when our. So I'm gonna break it in half. So right here. I have to use my thing. So from ayatuna, that is when ayatuna means our signs, our scriptures, our books. So it's إذا tutla ayatuna alay. I'm kind of breaking up to make it make sense in English. And when our signs are read or recited upon him, right? Qala, he says, asatirul awwalin, that it is just tales, folklore of awwalin, of people in the past. Like it's just stories, man. It's just the stories. That's what people say. And, people will be reading the Quran to you, and then the people are like, oh, just stories of people in the past, man. I don't want to hear it. It's not something for me. It's not something that's going to be happening in the future. You're rejecting it, right? It's just stories in the past. So now the ayah continues. He says, "Kalla bal rana ala qulubihim ma kanu yaksibun." So kalla, hargaz nahi, never, like it's impossible, never such a thing. Bal, rather, um, rana ala qulubihim ma kanu yaksibun. The translation is, rather, from bal, that which they were earning has covered their hearts with rust. Um, so ما كانوا يكسبون, so that which they were earning, ران على قلوبهم. So ran would mean, we can say covered, right? على قلوبهم has surrounded their hearts. And this is obviously it's not earning, like when you earning money in a halal way, just going out to your job and stuff, or selling, stuff in a halal way, isn't gonna damage you, right? But rather it's the things that you've earned by sinning, right? Um, as one hadith mentions that every time you sin, you get a black dot on your heart, and then when you sin like a however enough times, that eventually your heart will become black because of all the black dots you're putting, and then your heart's gonna not feel anything. I'm pretty sure you guys might have heard that nowadays. People say, "Oh, my heart feels dead," or "I feel cold," right? Like I feel very cold-hearted. It's because of sins and stuff, right? So, the only way really to wash away that blackness is with tawbah and doing istighfar daily, right? Now the next ayah is now, kalla, once again, hargaznehi, never, innahum ar-rabbihim yawma idhil la mahjubun. So it says, there, never, kalla, never, no such thing. Innahum ar-rabbihim, other on that day, they will be barred from their sustainers. So barred means uh you'd say or you could say deprived. Uh you'd say mahjub, it means that's yeah, just deprived. Uh Deprivated. It's gonna be say something taken away from you, right? That that they will be deprived from seeing Allah, right? And that people whose hearts have been rusted, as the previous ayah mentions, that they will not be able to see Allah. Right? Um, and there's another hadith which mentions, I'm gonna just extract a line from it, that there's basically some people on the Day of Judgment where Allah is not gonna, He's not even gonna look at them. Like Allah is just like He just doesn't want, He wants nothing to do with them, and that's obviously a bad thing, right? Because if Allah was looking at you, it means that that He wants to show mercy. But if Allah doesn't look at you and He just you know almost ignoring you in a way, it's a bad thing. It means like that you're just trash. And where does trash go? Trash bin, which is obviously Jahannam. So it's just a very bad sign for you to be barred from having shown mercy by Allah, right? The next ayah now, right, is ثُمَّ إِنَّهُمْ لَصَالُو الْجَحِيمِ. Um, and then Salu, just we went over it a couple ayats ago. It says ثم إنهم, then after, verily they, لَصَالُ الْجَحِيمِ, will be thrown into, or they will fall into Jahim, the hellfire. Right? Sorry, something on my finger. We'll do maybe one more ayah, number 17. Actually, I want to stop on a good ayah, so we'll stop on number 18. We'll stop on number 18, because these ayahs are kind of like for bad people, so we'll stop on a good ayah for talks about good people.
Yeah.
It says, so number 17 is ثم يقال هذا الذي كنتم به تكذبون. It says ثم يقال, it will be then after, or then it will be said. So يقال means it will be said, right? هذا الذي, this is كنتم به تكذبون. This is because you used to reject, you used to deny, or be heedless and careless, right? So people are falling into hellfire, obviously going to be questioning, like, oh, why am I here? Why am I burning? Why am I here? The person is going to be, whomever says it to them is going to say, this is because you used to reject. So this is your punishment for that. So now stopping on a good ayah. Next ayah number 18 is كلا إن كتاب الأبرار, sorry, أبراري لفي عليين. It says never, verily, كتاب الأبرار, the books of the righteous, لفي عليين, will be in the عليين. So the register of the عليين is the destiny of those.
Good deeds.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, is the destiny. So the destiny of those miserable unbelievers and the righteous believers can never be seen. So it's basically a book, or like a register that we don't know, but we don't know in the sense of we can't see it, right? Like you can't go about it and read it. Not a book you can go to Walmart and pick up and read, right? But we know that it's a real thing. And then obviously the next continues. The law describes what the Iliyun is, and what that scripture, what that register is, which we continue next next week class, inshallah.
Okay.
5 minutes. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. If not, then I guess that'll just be it for now, inshallah. Any questions or anything?
No.
Or do you guys, should I'll just from what, oh, 1 second. Let me just 1 second, guys.